My father's not a concern. His driving's not a concern. As I mentioned to you earlier, he's recently learnt to ride a moped. But I can see that perhaps he's maybe slightly more contained. He contains his driving, and he's a bit more careful, and he will tend to give himself a lot more time to accomplish things that he wouldn't have bothered about in the past. I've had an old aunt who is very similar to some of the older ladies that the group were talking about, where they are just, they're not driving dangerously, they're just not driving, they're going at walking pace almost, and they really are, like, if they get to something that's going quicker than 30 miles an hour, it's going to be a real problem. They're just, everything's gone, reactions have gone, you can see, it's like, gosh, well, those cars were whizzing by me, but the older aunties that I'm thinking about did self-regulate, and they realised to themselves it wasn't right for them to be on the road. Maybe too late, but they realised to themselves. Testing people because of their age is potentially unfair. But on the other hand, if there is evidence to suggest that en masse there is an issue with a particular part of the population, it happens to be an age-based part of the population, then it will need to be done. That testing needs to be very delicately done and very carefully monitored, so that it doesn't just deselect people because they're not meeting a set of certain standards that maybe we expect 17-year-old and 18-year-old drivers to meet, which aren't really relevant to people when they're older. I mean, yes, you've still got to be able to react, but if you're not driving like a lunatic, there's not the need to be able to react in 0.2 of a second, because you're going to be driving further away. It's critical things we need to pick out, like you can't stay awake, or you just can't steer, or your net won't let you look in one direction. Things that really do prevent you from driving. It needs to be something that's picked up on a much more daily basis. And I know I'm thinking about the impossible, but I think a series of smarter technology in cars, the incentive will only work if there is a reason to do it, and it needs to be more than 5 or 10%, because the premiums, from what I know, aren't that high anyway. Those who self-moderate will tend to be the safest drivers anyway, and it's actually not them that we've got to worry about. We have to worry about people who have no real feeling for the damage they could do and no real care. I really do find it difficult to pick an age, because it is arbitrary, and it is going to be unfair to some who will be prevented from driving because they don't meet an unfair prescription of what they should be doing, yet they're no more of a risk than you or I are. But at least with an age-related thing, then it is fair in all other respects. And then it's just about getting the test correct so it picks out dangerous driving rather than a gradual decline in our abilities. People need independence. Take that away from a person, I think you really are taking away a lot. And old people particularly, they've worked hard all their lives, they want to be able to go and do these things, they've got more time on their hands. So for something that totally prevents them from any form of personal transportation, I think would be really bad unless there's very strong reasons.